Just because you're guaranteed to play
expand
in MLS, just because you're guaranteed to play in MLS, that doesn't mean that's the right move for you. And I think Alexi and Landon, with all due respect, because obviously they love MLS and they want to see our country
so do we,
have the best players, right?
But
right? Yeah.
Gio, I don't think it's the best.
But almost, I think almost to a detriment to what they obviously want our national team players to do.
So I guess the big question is, as the January transfer window approaches, Chuck, should he stick it out at Dortmund, or do you think it's time for him to potentially find a different spot?
I don't know how many times I have to say this, Jimmy. It's been time for him to move to a different spot. And it's not about the injuries. I think, he's been very unfortunate with injuries. He's super talented. We know that. But in order to fulfill your potential and to build yourself up, you got to play. And I think you got to be in a good spot mentally, in a situation that, one, the coach trusts you and is encouraging you and giving you the opportunity to play. And then it's on Gio to stay healthy and have the right team around him to make sure that he's doing everything he needs to do in order to stay physically fit. So in saying that, where does he move to, right? It's a January transfer window. It's very difficult. We've already seen him make one January transfer for a loan to Nottingham Forest and it not work out. And that's the Premier League. And I think all of us, I think it was unanimous around everyone that this was not the right move to go to a team that's fighting relegation in the middle of the season and they don't play football, right? So
right.
That was a no-brainer, I think, but he was so desperate to get out of that situation at Dortmund and search for playing time. So now be calm, cool, and collected and think about what's best for his future. And he needs 1 year of just full-on playing, freedom, killing the outside noise, right? And just staying fit. This is an important year from here on out. The next year, from January to January, he's got to play.
I wonder if some of he must be training well for them to trust him in a Champions League game against Barcelona. But I wonder if there's also an element of, let's put him in the shop window against a good opponent, and if he plays well, then maybe we can move him along. I just think that might be a possibility. 135 minutes in all comps this season, 6 games, 1 start. This is his first start. Yeah, go ahead.
You'd be naive, Jimmy, to think that wouldn't be a possibility of saying, hey, you know what? We're going to get Duranville on the pitch. We're going to get Nemecha on the pitch, Reyna on the pitch, show that they can play, right? That they're fit. And this is a good opportunity. If they do well, great. We win the game and their value goes up, or just to show that they're healthy and see what options are out there for them.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I kind of want to take it country by country, but we have a few of our former U.S. men's national team teammates out there. One goes by Landon, the other one goes by Alexi, that are saying he should come to MLS. Now, if we start with MLS as one of the countries that he could come to, I just want to put my flag in the ground and say that he should go to the Chicago Fire and get round 2 of Reyna versus Berhalter. I want that. Let's make it happen. I'm putting that out into the universe because I think that's what we all want. We want a little drama, right? It just raises the stakes, Chuck. It raises that stake. Could you imagine? No, I couldn't imagine, but there is something there.
No, I can't even believe you threw that out there. It's just, no, absolutely not. No. Jeez, you're asking for a hell on earth. No.
Okay. So I don't think going to MLS is the answer. So I don't know if you agree with that. That's a quick one. Okay, good. Let's move on to some other options.
That's an easy one for me. Just because you're guaranteed to play in MLS, just because you're guaranteed to play in MLS, that doesn't mean that's the right move for you. And I think Alexi and Landon, with all due respect, because obviously they love MLS and they want to see our country
so do we,
have the best players, right?
But
Yeah.
Gio, I don't think it's the best.
But almost, I think almost to a detriment to what they obviously want our national team players to do, right? I think just because you're going to be playing all the time doesn't necessarily mean that's the right spot for you. And he'd probably end up in New York City if I had to guess, because he came from that academy. And it just would make sense. They also don't have a coach, right? So I think there's a lot of teams that have to figure out things first. But I think he has to just go to a lower league, take a step back to take two steps forward, right?
Well, we've talked about like a Portugal or potentially an Eredivisie team, a top one, of course. I'm going to rule England out. Right? He already did that with Forest. Didn't work out.
Rule it out.
We're ruling that out. We're ruling out Germany as well. I don't think they're going to loan him to another club in Germany. So I just kind of ruled those out. So my criteria for the other top leagues in Europe was that it had to be mid-table. Okay, it had to be potentially a team that was struggling to score because if you're trying to sell Gio to a coach or to an organization, there has to be like, what does he bring to the table? How can he help me immediately? And there has to be in creating goal scoring opportunities, and he can do that if he plays regularly. So with that in mind, also I threw in there that maybe having American owners could potentially help his.
No, you don't need that.
I'm throwing that in there because. Okay, but I also agree that I think an American owner or Americans that have done well at that particular club just could be they could look at that player in a different light than maybe a team that isn't have that American influence. So I'm just throwing that in there. Listen, in Spain, that means I got Mallorca, mid-table, American owners, and potentially he could help. I know he could help that team. Sevilla is a big club. They're struggling to score. That would be sick. My vote would be Sevilla. In Italy, I got Roma.
How about Girona? Because they play football and they're struggling and they're in Champions League.
I've been to a game. I just went to a game last month. Girona do play football. So that would be fantastic.
So could he fit into Girona in your mind?
He could fit in, and I think he would sparkle with them because they keep the ball, and he could find those pockets, and he'd have a lot of people to combine with. I just don't know if they need him. That would be the only thing.
Okay,
they already have a lot of good guys. So Sevilla would be interesting, though. Again, though, very similar to Forest. If he goes to a team where they're just struggling overall, sometimes you start to play a different style of football, as it were, because you just have to survive at that point. Okay, in Italy, I got Roma, American owners. But if you're looking at it, you got Empoli and Genoa, mid-table clubs struggling to score. Again, I don't know if they really fit. Do they really sit and put the ball down and play?
Struggling to score is one thing, Jimmy, but having an essential midfielder, the need for an essential midfielder who's good on the ball, who has an eye for that pass, that's something different. Because you could say, okay, team's struggling to score, but they have the midfielders, right? So they're just missing a striker. He needs to go to a place where, they need somebody creative underneath, maybe a goal scorer. I think of Roma, and not just Roma because they have like a Dovbyk and Dybala who's in and out of the team because of his health, but I like the way Claudio Ranieri runs a team, and he's a people person, right? I think that'd be a good manager for Gio, and I think they play good football at times. So him playing with Pellegrini and Dybala, that might have something to it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Okay. Last one in France. You got Toulouse, right? They signed Mark McKenzie. Clearly trust American players. Okay, they could score some more goals. They could use a player that could be more of a string puller, let's say. And then you got Lens, who have a good young manager in Will Still that can maybe squeeze. Like he got Balogun. Will Still got Balogun to score 20+ goals in Liga, right? So could he squeeze that little extra potential out of Gio? That would be really fascinating to me to see if he could go to a club like that. I would be excited to see him go to this. Obviously, get a good. I still want him to fight for his chance, right? He's got to do that at Dortmund regardless. I don't want him to walk into a team and we're rolling out the red carpet. You still want him to fight for whatever he's going to get. But I wonder if these types of clubs would be like a one step back for two steps forward. That obviously are outside of the Eredivisie in Portugal. Yeah, go ahead.
I see a lot of in the comments, right? And
I'm trying to be realistic about these options,
spicy pineapple. Hey, I appreciate y'all because you guys, Kelly, you guys always come with the great comments. I see a lot of disdain and resentment towards France. I just want to remind people, when you look at the Champions League table, Lille and Brest are both in the top 8, right? So the Liga has a lot of quality. And we're not even talking about the Lyons of the world and Marseilles and PSG, who's in the bottom, way outside of the top 8, out of the top 16 at the moment, who are in Champions League. And the French league has a ton of quality, and it's a great place to develop. But you got to be in the right spot, 100%. You have to have a manager that's going to trust you and play you and give you the opportunity. So unless that happens, forget France. You have to have the manager say, I have a plan for you. I'm going to give you the opportunity. And I'll also add, for January, it makes the options that much more difficult because there's no settling in time.
Yeah.
It's right off the bat. You got to go and deliver.
Yeah. With that in mind, I guess I'm of the mindset that maybe he should stay at Dortmund, fight it out, try to get as many minutes as he can this season, and then make a move in the summer where he would be able to kind of start fresh and clean with everybody else on the team, right? And potentially with a new coach or a new system that might be in place at said club. Whereas when you come in mid-season in the January transfer window, I just feel like the circumstances become a lot more difficult. And it's sometimes, if you do go to one of these clubs that needs help and you come in and try to be the savior and you're not, it just adds a lot more pressure. I don't know. There's a lot to unpack there, but we wanted to have this conversation for sure.
Yeah, Jimmy, it's also like the conundrum, right? Do you go to MLS, which I did to build myself back up, and I got the opportunity to go back to France and play, and that was probably one of those miracles to be able to get back to that level. And I was never the same player, but I was able to at least achieve that. But that year I spent at DC United, that did a lot for me. Obviously, I had to relearn my body. I think for Gio Reyna, it's probably there are some similarities of, okay, how do I keep pushing myself, but also strengthening and maintaining and recovering and trying to figure out what is that right balance. I mean, Tyler Adams goes through that right now, right? But playing time is essential, and being in a comfortable spot like MLS makes a lot of sense. But can you find that same type of environment in Europe? And I think that's what's important, because you want him to still be pushed and have the elements of quality around you and depth. And also, if you don't perform, you don't play. You need to have that pushing you every week. But ultimately, I just think he needs to find the right manager who understands his quality and will give him the opportunity to play.